Hey guys, welcome back to my shop. I haven't done a video in a while. I've been a little busy, the holidays, been a little cold in here. It's kind of hard to get out and do work in an unheated shop when it's 15, 13 degrees outside, but it's nice out today, so I figured I'd get out here and knock out some orders that I got over the holidays. So when you buy a CNC machine or any type of machinery that you can make stuff on, a lot of people do it with the intention of making money or making something for themselves. Me, I bought mine to make a few bucks here and there and make myself stuff. So a while back, I made a little name plaque for a friend of mine. His wife's a teacher, and she took it up to the school, and I keep getting orders, and everybody's wanting one. So basically, all it is a piece of 3/4 inch something. I use oak, and you do some pocket carving and put their name in there, and then maybe a school logo or something. In this case, their school logo is a bear, so I got online and I found a really cool bear face and carve it in there. Fill it all in with color and a mixture of color and natural wood, and they really seem to like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 3/4 inch piece of oak. Just for people that like to know, how much money can you really make? Well, you can only make what people are willing to spend. A piece of oak like this at Lowe's runs $7, $8. Now, I'm sure I could get it cheaper somewhere else, but for the ease of doing things, I just run to Lowe's and buy what I need. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut this down. We're going to throw it on the machine. This is going to be a plaque for the school nurse. So we're going to incorporate a nurse's logo in there as well. When we're done, we're going to color fill the carving and sand away the top. So it's a mixture of, like I said, natural wood and color. And I'm going to take you step by step through the process of how to do it. As far as how much can you make? Well, I'm not sure what people really charge for, some of their simple stuff that they make on these machines. Me, generally, I charge about $30 an hour for the machine, and then tack on $10 for the finish, or depending on how difficult they want it. In this case, I'm charging $30 for this. I think it's a fair price. It's a friend of mine, so I cut him a little break too. And it's real simple. They don't want any kind of hanger built into it. They just want a flat piece of wood carved and colored. So stay tuned. We're gonna get down to it and check it out. Okay, now we've got our piece of wood to the correct dimensions, which in this case it's going to be 5.5 by 18 inches. And what we're going to do now is secure it to the wasteboard. Ready? Okay, and as you saw there, I had to give it a little tap with the rubber mallet because when I put the first couple on, it accidentally slid up a little bit, but now we're straight, we're good, we're clamped down nice and tight, and we can get started with the next step. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get all of our end mills and bits ready to do this. So first thing we're going to need, obviously, is going to be our collet wrench. We're going to need both our 1/8 and 1/4 inch collets. We're going to be using a 1/4 inch 2-flute flat end mill. We're going to use this 1/16 inch 2-flute flat end mill. We're going to use this 1/2 inch by 60 degree V-bit. And we're also going to use, if I can get this in here, this 1/8 inch 30 degree pencil V-bit. If I can get this to focus too, you can see I made a organizer for all my bits, all my hold downs. It's got all the perfect spots for, you know, holding all your tools and everything, keep you organized. That's a real simple project to do using the machine as well. Holds all my conical bits, all my hold down bolts, you know, my small bits, my large bits, my nuts, my washers, all my hold downs have a spot, my collets have a spot. Before I had this in here, I had everything in bags and boxes and what they came in, and let me tell you, this is so much nicer. This would be probably the third thing I would make on my list when I got a machine, by far. Okay, just real quick before we actually get started, if you haven't seen my videos or I haven't really explained it, I'm going to show you my setup and how I've got everything over here set up to do all my projects. You'll have to forgive me too. I'm used to shooting on a GoPro, and I recently switched over to shooting on my DSLR. There's definitely a learning curve when it comes to shooting on a DSLR, so bear with me. This is what we have. So over here I have my laptop, and this is what I run my cam program on. I have my VCarve on here, and I can definitely do design stuff out here, my CAD stuff, but I choose to do that in the house. It's a lot nicer in there, and it's not anywhere near as messy. Now obviously, you know, the machine being way over here, it's hard to jog the machine back and forth. So what I've done is I've run a HDMI up to this TV on a swivel, so I can stand right here at my machine. Well, hang on. I can stand here at my machine, look up at the TV, and take my wireless mouse, bring it over here, and do all my stuff right from the machine. So it's really handy. Some people put little monitors. Some people have machines that actually have the controls attached to the machine. That's not the way the Shapeoko works, but this setup works really good for me. So this is the way I'm going to keep doing it. Okay, we got everything clamped down. We got our tools. You saw my setup. Now what I got to do is open up my carbide motion so I can jog the machine and turn the machine on. Get this connected. Click it. Home the machine. And if you don't have homing switches on your machine, if you bought it without it, I highly suggest you get them. It is amazing. It makes a world of difference. I started out without them, and believe me, you will have money well spent. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to jog the machine to the middle using our rapid position, and we're going to start out with our first bit, which is going to be our 60-degree V-bit. So let's get this 1/4 inch collet in there. We'll get our bit in there. Tighten her down. All right. Well, let's home the machine to the bottom left corner of the material, which is where I generally do it at. Another thing too, anybody that uses these machines a lot, maybe you can help me with this. Now I'm going to use the fast jog and listen for the machine to kind of stutter at points. I don't know if that's normal or if that happens with everybody's machines, but here, check this out. It kind of stops for a second every now and then. I don't know why it does that. Like I said, I don't know if that's normal or not, but it does what it does. Alright, let's get our Z-axis. Now, with the V-bits, I tend to eyeball it. I don't use any sort of touch plate. I don't use paper for it. I just eyeball it. And what you want to do is you want to get it to where it's just barely touching the wood. And like I said, with the V-bits, I tend to eyeball it. And if I'm doing a project where I'm using flat end mills and V-bits and I have to do several tool changes, I generally start out my project with a V-bit. The reason I do that is, in my opinion, it is easier to center this tiny point onto the corner of this material as my home point than it is to center a larger round bit, if that makes any sense to you. If I start off with the V-bit, I know it's going to be exactly on the corner. this thing centered out. Alright, now we get our Z-axis zeroed out. Alright, we're going to set our 0. We're going to zero X, Y, and Z coordinates right there. So that is going to be our home position for this whole project. And we won't have to set it again because carbide motion will always remember that no matter what. Even if you turn the machine off, close the program, come back, your next project, if you click return to XY, it's going to bring you right back to this point. Not that you'd use it, but it's just a neat feature. Okay, we got the machine zeroed out. We got our piece held down. We got our 60-degree bit in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up our file and do carbide motion, which is going to be our bare face and the school's name right across here. The bare face is going here. The school's name is going here. So let's get to it. Okay, now that that's done, you can see that we have our bear's face there that is V-carved. Now, don't forget that's going to be color filled, so it's going to pop out a lot more. And then we have the name of the school V-carved right there. That font, in case anybody wants to know, I believe is called Georgia. It does really good when it comes to V-carving. Obviously, there's going to be some cleanup involved with some sandpaper, but come on, you focus. There you go. But it turned out pretty good. Alright, let's do the next set. Well, let's check it out. And I think it turned out pretty good. Some of the lines are a little shallow, but we'll get those filled in with paint and it'll look pretty nice. So there you have it, 30-degree V-bit carved. Nurse symbol, I guess we'll call it. And let's get ready to move on to the next step. Alright, so as you can see here, what it's done is it has taken out the bulk of the material. It's gone everywhere that the 1/4-inch bit can fit, and then what we'll do is we'll get our little 16th-inch bit, and you'll see how it goes in there and does all the detail work. Alright, well, all our machine work is done here, so we're going to take this thing off the board and see how it turned out. I did notice that I had a problem on that last pass with the 16th inch bit. When you're zeroing out with a piece of paper, especially when you're doing it on a very small bit like a 16th end mill, you have to be real careful that you get your bit exactly at the same Z height zeroed out as your other bits. In this case, I did not. Now, what that ends up doing is, let's see if I can zoom in here. I don't know if you can see this on there or not, but what it ends up doing is that 16th inch bit that did all the small passes around the edge, it went a hair deeper than the other. Now, in this case, since I'm going to be filling this in with paint, it's not going to show as much. If you were going to stain this, that would be extremely bad. It would stand out like a sore thumb, and it wouldn't look very good. I would recommend you buy a touch plate. I fully plan on getting one as soon as I can find one in stock somewhere, which is, and it seems to be real hard to do right now because nobody has them in stock, but I'll get one eventually. And what a touch plate is it's a little metal plate that you stick on your material, and the machine, through electrical charge, drops your bit onto it and knows exactly where your surface is, so every bit carves exactly the same depth. Until I get one, sometimes it's hit or miss. What ends up happening is afterwards I end up having to do a whole lot of cleanup in here, and that's what's going to happen in this case. I'm going to have to get in there with some really small pieces of sandpaper and clean that up as much as I can, so there's no difference in depth between the two bits. And that's going to take me a minute, but I'm going to get it done. Alright guys, well that's going to be it for the machine process on this. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take it over and we're going to start painting it, we're going to seal it, and finish it up. So if you see, that is our plaque. Right now it's kind of plain because it doesn't have any color in it, or stain or seal, but you can see our nurse symbol, our bear, the name of the school, and the name, Nurse Hall. So there you go. Let's get down there and start finishing it up so you can see the finished product. Okay, so the first thing I do before I start painting and finishing is I want to give it a quick sand with 220. Nothing too aggressive, just enough to maybe flatten some of the grain on here, and I'll explain why in a second. So I'm going to give it a quick sand with this 220 real quick. Alright, that's going to be good. So because I like to use oak, oak is a very porous type of wood, so when you go to paint it, it's going to want to fill in all the tiny little pieces of grain in there. So two things I do. One is I give it a quick sand, get it nice and smooth. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a quick coat of some clear hang on, some clear gloss, whatever the heck this is, some sort of a not a polyurethane. Hell, I don't know what it is. It's a clear gloss top coat, and what that's going to do also is it's going to allow me to be able to seal the grain a little bit. That way, when I get some paint on the edges, it won't soak into the wood as much, so I won't have to sand as much to get it off. So I'm going to give it a quick coat of this. And that's it. So we're going to let that dry. And in about 2 hours or so, we're going to come back. We're going to start masking it off, and we're going to start painting. Okay, now that that's dry, we can mask off the first part which is going to be the center. We want the center because this is going to be red and the inside of that's going to be red. So we're going to mask off these two sides real quick. Alright, so the first part we're going to do is going to be red. So we got our little red spray paint, and we're going to do a few light passes on it. Okay, now that center section is masked off, we're going to do the bear head, and we're going to do that in black, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do that in blue. So, same process as before, we'll just spray it and wait for it to dry. Excellent. Alright, well, we're going to let all this dry, and then after it's dry, we're going to come back and we're going to sand all the excess off, and we'll have almost a finished product. Okay, now that all the paint's dry, we can go ahead and sand over this, get rid of all the overspray. I'm going to start off with 120, and hopefully this will all come off and it'll turn out the way it's supposed to be. And that is, see if I can get this light out of there. Perfect. Nurse Hall. Baird Bears. And that right there, minus the finish, is the finished product. So I'm going to spray a coat of that lacquer on it again, and we'll see how it looks when it's finally done. Alright guys, thanks for watching the video once again. Have any questions, ask me in the comment section below. I'll try to answer them the best I can. Subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll be able to get some more projects done here in the near future. Thanks for watching.